We're in a 2017 Ford Escape. We're going to do a plug-and-play remote start that activates from the OEM remote. There are two methods to program the system when the installation is complete. There's two-key programming, which requires two OEM keys, and then there is one-key programming, which would require a Fortin FlashLink programmer and the FlashLink manager and running the decryptor process to complete the installation. We have a T20 Torx. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take the Torx screw out of the steering column cover plastic. We're using a T20. Now we're going to use it's like a 7mm socket, and we're going to take the screw out. Now we're going to need the key to the vehicle. We're going to turn the key to the run position if our steering wheel is locked. I'm going to turn the steering wheel over to the side. We're going to release the clip right in here. I'm going to give you a close-up. I'm going to release the clip here on the side of the steering column cover plastic face. I'm going to put a screwdriver in a little bit, and we're going to turn it and kind of push back and up on that clip. I'm going to turn the steering wheel to the opposite side. We're going to repeat the procedure on this side. This will allow us to lift up the steering column cover plastic. We can do it on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and recenter the wheel. With the top cover unsnapped, we can go ahead and we can take the side cover, kind of spread the ears, and drop it down and remove it. We're going to drop the cover of the OBD2 connector, and we're going to remove the cover. We're going to remove the cover by lifting up on this side, popping it out, and then we're going to move this one to the center and remove the cover completely. We're going to install our diagnostic plug T-harness. We're going to go ahead and we're going to release the diagnostic plug from its bracket or from the dash. We're going to push the ears in on both sides. Push back on it a little bit, it'll pop out. You can now reach through here and grab the plug. We're going to take our plug, the plug that will plug into the diagnostic plug we've just removed, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug it in, and we're going to make sure it locks. There's a little lock clip. Make sure it locks. Now we're going to take our plug and we're going to snap it into the bracket. Our diagnostic plug T-harness is installed. We're going to connect this side to our device, so we're going to leave this accessible. We are now going to unplug the ignition plug to the vehicle. We're going to press the clip in on the side and pull back on the plug. They can be tight. We're also going to unplug the vehicle's immobilizer plug. I'm going to press the clip in on the immobilizer plug and remove it. We're going to plug in our T-harness ignition plug into the vehicle's ignition switch. We're going to support the back of the switch while we're plugging in the plug, and we're going to make sure the plug snaps in all the way and locks. We're now going to plug the vehicle's ignition plug into the other end of our T-harness. And again, we're going to plug it in and we're going to make sure the clip locks. We're working on a 2017 Ford Escape. This video can cover Escape all the way back to 2013. The only difference with the installation is the immobilizer plug that you will use. If you have an FORT1 or Ford 1 harness that only has one immobilizer plug, this can be used on the 2013 through 2016 Escape. 2017 and above will use this immobilizer plug, which is significantly wider than the FORT1 plug. So we're going to go ahead, and because our vehicle is a 2017, we're going to use this plug. If our vehicle is a 16 and lower, 16 down to 13, we're going to use this plug right here. older plug, newer plug. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug our plug into the vehicle's immobilizer. We're going to make sure it locks. Now we're going to plug the immobilizer plug that we removed from the vehicle into the other end of our T-harness. This will leave the older style plug empty to just be secured up under the dash and not used. If we're doing the 100% plug-and-play OEM remote activated remote starter, the installation is complete. We will move on to programming the module. Later in the video, we will show you parking light connections and advanced installation for RF antenna kits that require lock and unlock connections, and smartphone controllers that would also require lock and unlock connections. So we're going to begin programming our module. We're going to connect our module and prepare it for programming. We're going to locate the program button on our module. We're going to hold the program button down while we plug in our 4-pin data plug. When we do this, the lights on the front are going to begin to cycle. We want to release when we have a solid red and a solid blue light lit. The light will stay red and blue. If we make a mistake, we can unplug the plug and repeat the procedure. We're now going to plug the 20-pin plug into our module. We're going to plug the red plug in, and we're going to plug in the CAN plug that comes from our OBD connector. At this point, we're ready to begin the programming procedure. We want to be careful not to press the button anymore until we need to. We're going to begin the 2-key programming. We need both OEM keys to the vehicle. Now, we're going to introduce both keys to the vehicle, and then we're going to press the program button. We want to make sure that we introduce the keys in a timely fashion. We can't take too much time between inserting the second key into the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put the first key in, I'm going to turn it to the run position. I'm going to make sure it goes to the run position. We're now going to shut the key off, remove it. We're going to place the second key in the ignition, turn it to the run position. We're going to shut the second key off, remove it, press down the program button, the ignition to the vehicle will come on, the module will program, the ignition to the vehicle will shut down when the programming is complete. The programming has been completed. We're ready to test our module. I have this set for lock, unlock, lock activation, which should give us a silent activation. So we're going to lock, unlock, lock. Now remember, the remote starting can be either lock, 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 or lock, unlock, lock. With this vehicle, I prefer lock, unlock, lock to keep the activation silent so the horn doesn't honk on the vehicle. So pay attention to the description in the listing to make sure you receive what you want. Lock, unlock, lock, or lock, lock, lock for an activation sequence. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to shut the engine down by repeating the lock, unlock, lock commands. We're now going to move to the advanced portion of the video. If you're just doing 3-press remote start, you are done. You don't have to go any further. There are no additional required connections. We've completed the OEM remote activated remote starter that will silently start from lock, unlock, lock. This will trigger the remote starter to start the vehicle. As you see, the job can be really easy if we're just doing the OEM remote activated version. If we're adding smartphone controllers or RF antenna kits, the job can get a little bit more complicated. Please watch this video in its entirety before you decide to purchase the item. Your kit contains an override switch or a kill switch so that you can turn off the remote starting feature if you need to. So in order to connect this, you would go ahead and you would locate on your harness the dark blue wire that is banded. We would strip the dark blue wire, we would connect the dark blue wire to one side of the switch. So we have our dark blue going to one side of the switch. We would use a crimp cap or a wire nut or butt connector, whichever you prefer. And then this side of the switch we would connect to chassis ground or a ground source. So we'll put a ring on that. Now we can hook this to one of the bolts underneath the dash, and when the switch is in the on position, remote starting will be overridden. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you. If you have a kill switch and it's in the on position and you ground this blue wire, if we do lock, unlock, lock, instead of remote starting, we'll get error flashes on the module. We would then have to turn the switch to the off position and repeat the lock, unlock, lock command, and our remote starter will activate. This is useful if you're getting your oil changed, you have a garage, you park your vehicle inside the garage, and you don't want it to remote start, you want a means to be able to turn it off, you would connect this switch. We're going to add the Fortin RM411 or RFK411 antenna kit. Now, we can add this now and just get long range starting without having the lock and unlock features, without making any more connections on the vehicle. This video covers multi scenarios with this vehicle and a bunch of different ways that this job can be done. From the 100% plug and play to 100% plug and play with long range, to being able to control locks and using a smartphone controller. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to program and install this antenna kit for long range starting. And remember, at this point we're not controlling the locks to the vehicle yet. We're only doing a basic remote start with long range capabilities. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to locate the blue plug on our T-harness. We're going to locate the blue plug on our antenna kit harness and plug the antenna into our module. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start the programming procedure. To program the device, we're going to remove the 4-pin plug. We're going to hold the program button down, we're going to insert the 4-pin plug, and again we're going to release on blue and red. With a solid blue and red lights lit, we're going to press and hold the button down again. The lights are going to go out. We're going to release when they come back on. This point we're ready to introduce our remotes. We're going to have both remotes accessible. We're going to place the key in the ignition and turn it to the run position. When we do this, the yellow light on the middle is going to turn on. Our programming acknowledgement is going to come from the blinking of the two outside lights when it accepts the remote we're introducing. So I'm going to turn the key to the run position. And the yellow light is on. We're going to go ahead and we're going to press and hold our remote button down. Our remote LED is going to blink, then it's going to go out, and as soon as it comes back on, we're going to release the button. At this point, the Evo will accept the remote. We're now going to repeat the procedure with the second remote. We're going to hold the button down. Our LED on the remote's going to go out. When the LED comes back on, release the button immediately. The two outside lights on the Evo will blink, acknowledging it's accepted the remote. We're now going to shut the key off and remove it. At this point, we've added long-range capabilities to our device. We can trigger remote starting by pressing and holding our button down on our remote for 3 seconds. We can turn off the remote starter by pressing and holding the button for 3 seconds. We can unplug the antenna to mount the antenna and run the wire. Clean the desired spot on your windshield. Use alcohol or Windex. You want to make sure you dry it completely or the antenna will not stick. We're going to remove the protective cover from our adhesive tape. I'm going to place the antenna on the windshield. We're going to pull down a little bit on the headliner while we push the wire up in there with our fingers. Going to work the wire over to the A-pillar, where we're going to use our plastic tool to create a gap. To run our wire across the headliner. Going to remove the door gasket. And we're going to put the wire in this little gap that we've created by moving the gasket, and then we're going to replace the door gasket. In order to do the door locks on this vehicle, I'm going to move this carpet out of the way here on the driver's side. So I guess the best way is to remove the hood release lever so we can get the kick panel off. I'm kind of doing this backwards. I want to show you the two tabs that you push in, one here and one here on the back side, that you would push in to release the hood release lever. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, first we want to remove the little cap. This little spot right here. We can get a pick tool in and pop the cap out. Then the two tabs that I show you how to push down are here and here. So we're going to put a little bit of outward pressure on it after we release the tabs so that it pops off. So we're going to do this one here first. Going to push down with our small screwdriver, push the tab in. I felt the latch move over the tab up. Release it again. We want to keep that pressure on it the whole time. Now we put it on the opposite side, right here, and we release that tab. We get them both pushed in, this will come right off. I want to remove the door gasket back to here. If you look down in here, right in here, there's a white clip. We're going to pop that clip up. We're going to go ahead, we're going to use our tool, go down, pop the clip. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to unclip this driver's kick panel. This could be extremely tight. We're going to use our tool from the back, and we're going to go ahead, we're going to pop out the top clip, which is located up in this area. There's another clip back over in here. I'm going to get it from the back with like a screwdriver and push it out if it doesn't unclip easily. Well, now we can remove the kick panel. With the kick panel removed, we can fold the carpet back to get to this harness lower in a more comfortable spot. Now with the carpet folded back, we can get to this wiring harness that runs down through the kick panel. We'll make our lock connections here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to release this harness from this peg here so we can take it up and out so we're not behind the carpet working. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get access to the wires in here. Probably want to stay down in this area. Maybe here would be the highest. I'm going to stay back here. I'm going to be careful not to cut into the wires. I'm going to lance this harness, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to locate our lock and unlock wires along with the door pin switch wire. We're looking for purple, orange, and gray yellow for the lock and unlock wires. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my pick tool, and I'm going to pick through the wires until I find the wires I'm looking for. So we can go ahead and we can pull them out a little bit here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to look through the wires. We've located lock and unlock. Lock is gray yellow. We can go ahead and we can put a ground on gray yellow with our test light, and it'll lock the doors. Listen. Now we can unlock the vehicle with a violet orange. Lock, gray yellow, unlock, violet orange. We're going to make our lock connections. We have a bundle of wires on our harness. We're going to go ahead and we're going to unbundle the wires. we have a FORT1, our wires are going to be shorter than this FORT4. So we're going to unbundle the wires. We're going to run these wires down to the wiring harness on the driver's side under the carpet. We're going to apply our posi taps to our wire. Posi tap connectors require no soldering, no tools. You simply unscrew the connector, you slip this end over the wire, put the wire in the groove, put this back on, the pin pokes the wire, providing a connection point. We loosen this collar, insert our wire, tighten this collar, and we make our connection. So we're going to go ahead and put a posi tap on the lock wire, which are gray and yellow here. And you can consult your paper instructions. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a posi tap on the unlock wire. So these physical connections have to be made in order to control the locks on this vehicle. Otherwise, you cannot control the locks. So we're going to go ahead and loosen the collar on both of our posi taps. We're using the white wire and the white wire with a black stripe. So we're going to connect our lock wire, and again, consult your paper instructions. Our white and black to our gray and yellow. Going to insert the wire in. It will bottom out. We're going to push it in a little further, and then we're going to tighten the collar. This will lock the wire in. So now we're going to go ahead and do our unlock connection. Loosen the collar, push the wire in, it bottoms out, push it in deeper, tighten the collar up. Now we'll have lock and unlock control of our vehicle. We've located the door pin switch wire. You can see it in your paper instructions. It's green with a very faint violet stripe on there. I'm trying to make it so you can see it. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cut this wire. Okay, we're going to cut this wire, and I'll just explain the purpose of this connection. This controls your retained accessory power. When you shut your ignition off, your vehicle waits for you to open the doors before it turns off your accessories. This will simulate the door opening and turn off your accessories. If you don't connect this, the accessories will time out after, I believe it's about 10 minutes. Now, another purpose of this wire is to arm your OEM alarm. The Evo actually opens up this wire simultaneously while it locks the doors to set the OEM alarm. So if you want OEM alarm control and retained accessory power control, this connection is required. Otherwise, it is not. So in order to test this, pretty tough, we're gonna cut it, and we have a BCM side and we have a vehicle side. We use a voltmeter, DC voltmeter, and we set it for DC volts. We can check one side, we should have 4 to 5 volts, and the other side we should have nothing on it, no voltage. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to ground our probe, and we're going to check the BCM side, and then we're going to check the vehicle side. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make our connections for this door pin switch interruption. We're going to strip back about 1 inch of the wire on the green with the faint purple stripe, and we're going to use our pair of green wires from our device. One's green with red, one's green with white. We're going to connect the green with red side to the side of the harness that goes down into the kick panel. Now we're going to connect our green with white to the side of the harness that goes up under the dash. At this point, we're going to secure these connections, either solder and tape, some kind of butt connector, or wire nuts. I'm going to use wire nuts to keep the job toolless. Some people complain about wire nuts coming off. I haven't had that problem. If you're worried about it, you can tape around it. These are small wire nuts that'll come in your kit. If you're buying the full version of this. So we're done inside the kick panel. We can go ahead and we can put this back together, and I'm going to show you where we can obtain the parking lights. So we're outside the vehicle, and I'm going to reach in, just show you the locking and unlocking on this. To lock the vehicle, you press this button one time, and this will lock the doors. To unlock the vehicle, press this button 2 times. This will unlock the doors. So if you watch the passenger door lock switch, you'll see the light come on unlock when I lock it, and then when I unlock it, you'll see the light go out. It takes a second. So we're also setting the OEM alarm, and we're controlling the wrap system with our connections in the driver's kick panel. At this point, we still haven't connected the lights. I'm going to do a remote start just to show you what will illuminate when you do the remote start. So if you have your switch in the off position, you'll have these little marker lights coming on during remote start. They'll only come on in the front, they won't come on in the back. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to shut it off. Now I'm going to leave your light switch in the auto position. Okay, now I have the lights in the auto position right now. I'm going to go out front and take a look what comes on. I'm going to do a remote start with the lights in the auto position. So I'm pressing and holding. So now this may only come on and only may happen when it's dark outside. So again, we still haven't connected the parking lights. So you may not have to connect the parking lights. So with our engine running, if we shut off the engine, we can see that our wrap retained accessory power control is working. It takes a couple seconds. Watch, the radio in the vehicle will turn off on shutdown, and also the accessory power. If you don't do that cut of the door pin, then you don't have this control. We're on the passenger side of the vehicle. I'm going to show you where you can obtain the parking lights. So we've just pulled the carpet out from under the kick panel a little bit, fold it down. I'm just going to cut this one band of tape right here. Want to be careful not to cut into the conductors. So we're going to go ahead and remove the tape. Again, being very careful that we don't cut our wires. This will allow us to get this clump out. Now there's separate right and left wires, so we got to locate the purple wire with the green stripe, and I'll tell you, you better test these wires. If you don't, you connect to the wrong wire, and do some damage to your vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look through. We're going to take a look at some of these purple wires with a green stripe. We're going to pull a few to the surface and then go ahead and go through them and test them. Okay, so I have the 2 wires right here. These are your right and left parking light wires, purple with a green stripe. There's many duplicate wires. As I stated previously, you got to test these. If you don't test them correctly, you connect to them, you're going to burn something up. So we have a test light. I have somebody over on the driver's side to turn the lights on and off. I have the driver's door closed because there's a delay with the lights, and I have the passenger latch set so the vehicle considers the doors being closed. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to connect to the wire, and I'm going to turn on the parking lights. You'll see the parking lights go on. Now turn off the parking lights. That's one. Now here's the other. Go ahead, turn on the parking lights. Turn off the parking lights. And these 2 right here are the correct wires. But again, you got to test. There's probably about 20 of these gauge and color wires. So we're looking for the violet with the green stripe. There's also opposite. There's green with a violet stripe. So you got to do the test or don't connect them. Okay, again, just a reminder, we tested our wires before we connected. So for these connections, I'm going to use T-taps. You don't like T-taps? Use whatever you want. Strip and wrap, whatever. Posies. The way I'm doing it, I am going to use T-taps. They're only parking light connections. You'll know if they're not working. You won't have parking lights. Won't be the end of the world. Okay, now our power wire, white with red. Right here, large gauge. Constant power. Want to tap this too. This is our power source. So we have two relays here. We're fused at 10 amps. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put, this is our parking light relay pack. I use two relays. I'm not going to use one relay and two big diodes that I don't have. I have plenty of relay packs. So if you buy a parking light kit from me, this is what you'll install. You're going to take your violet wire with a fuse holder on it, plug it into your constant power. You're going to take your green wire, plug it into one of the parking lights, and you're going to take your blue wire, plug it into the other parking light wire here. You're going to make sure they plug in all the way. If they don't snap in, they're not plugged in correctly. So now when we ground this, it will turn on our parking lights. If you listen, you'll hear the relay click when I ground this. Both relays come on, they turn on the parking lights. So I'm going to show you from outside after we finish. Now on your harness there's a brown wire with a white trace. That's a negative parking light trigger wire. You have to run that wire all the way over here and plug it in to this end right here with the two smaller gauge green and blue wires here. And this will activate the relays when you start or when you lock and unlock the vehicle. So again, the brown wire with the white stripe must come over here. Okay, our vehicle is complete. We've connected the brown wire with a white stripe to our parking light negative trigger. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to lock the doors. One press, doors lock, got our lights blinking. Going to do unlock. Two presses, doors unlock. We have parking light confirmation. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start the engine. We're going to press and hold until the lights come on. Okay. Now when we do takeover, you want to unlock the vehicle. Takeover is going from running on the remote starter to running on the key. So we're going to do two presses to unlock. My bad. Or we can use the factory remote to unlock too. Okay, so we're in the vehicle. We're going to put the key in, turn the key to the run position. It's 2 clicks to the run position here. Once the key's in and on, we're going to press the brake pedal. The remote starter is going to turn off. The vehicle is going to continue to run on the key, and we're going to drive away.